G'day, guys. We're back for episode 6. We missed last week because Dazzle was stuck in a bit of a rut, and I didn't cut my bat and ball and go home. I just was a bit stuck in. I want to have a pause from everything because I was in a bit of a weird space last week, and Azza was very supportive. So Azza, we welcome a special guest today, mate, in Rob Beveridge. How do we feel about this?
Oh, mate, Rob Beveridge is in the house. Or not in our house. He's in his own house, I'm sure. It's great to have you on, Bevo.
Yeah, thanks, Ed. I mean, I love doing this type of stuff. Done stuff with Daz before, so it's good to be Daz and Az.
Mate, so started get the ball rolling. So for me personally, that's not about me personally, just my thoughts and as a direction you want to take, Bevo. Just talk about what you want to talk about. But before we start, we probably want to congratulate Bevo because he has finally got the book out and about, and it's going to the people that have purchased. They're signed and that ready to go. So I'm excited about mine because I think it is coming. So I think it's in one of those piles. Hopefully, Bevo, is mine going to?
Yep. So when we went through the list, we had 320 plus books there to sign, and we had X amount of packages to go. Like we went and pre-purchased like 100 packages, and I had to make sure that I got you because I knew you were down in Melbourne. You're in lockdown and stuff. So I sort of try to prioritise some of the people I sent to. So yep, yours is done.
Did you hear that? Prioritise. How do I feel about that? My wife wouldn't prioritise me. So Bevo, I love that, mate. Well, congratulations, mate. We're glad it's out there. We've been talking it up for you. I think we spoke about it last week. I'm excited. Can't wait. And really, I'm not a very good reader, but I'm keen to read this one. So looking forward to it, mate. And we highlight to everyone, we highly recommend it if you're a basketball fanatic or sports in general or life in general. We think it covers all points. So we wish you luck, and guys, buy it, jump on it. Awesome.
Yeah. Thanks. I guess I want to read. It's actually not a basketball book. I mean, I'm a basketball coach, and I use a lot of examples in basketball. But the way that Birdie and I wrote the book was for all sport. There's a lot of stuff on leadership about organisation structures and stuff, and also we're talking about leadership today. So it means a lot to what we've done, and we've put down our 25, 30 years of work in high performance, and it covers everything for players, coaches, administrators, not just basketball. And I think some people think, it's a basketball book. No, it's not. It's a sporting high performance book.
Yeah. And that's why I think it's got my interest, Bevo, because even though I'm in the basketball world, I'm not really a basketball buff where I stay the game and I've got to live and breathe it. I actually have a lot of a break from it because we're so consumed by it. That's why I'm really interested because I know it's more than just a game. It's exciting, so I can't wait. So super keen, mate. Azza, did you buy one?
I will be buying one, Dazzle. I haven't got around to it yet. No, you put me on the spot, but I will be buying it. I've actually been watching I've been watching the podcast online, Bevo and Birdie, so it's been fantastic. I was really fascinated in the culture chapter 2 there. Yeah. So I really look forward to reading that.
Well, Bevo, you owe me commission. I've got you a sale, mate. So there you go.
That's it, yes.
He's a tight ass. He's waiting for this as a special or something coming out. He'll buy it then. Don't worry about it. So
that's right.
We'll be right. Looking forward to it. Leadership. A lot of ways we can talk about the word leadership, sports, life. Where's the leader come from? Do leaders know at times they're actually a leader? They not realize that they're leading something and people are following. How do we identify it? How do they identify it themselves? And what starts someone to become a leader? It also comes down to choices. We talk about when you make a choice, there's consequence. There's also judgment. How do leaders? The true leaders will step up and deal with that and cope with that and find an outcome with that. So, guys, just your thoughts and start and just see where it takes us. So, as Bevo, whoever wants to jump in, just your thoughts, and then we'll just see where this conversation takes us.
Yeah, I mean, leadership it's huge from my perspective. That I never had any intent to be a leader. You don't think, I'm going to be a leader of something. It just sort of, I was tagged with it. You're such a good leader. You're this, you're that, and I think what it comes down to a lot of is action. It's some people have the ability to actually do things by example. It's about action. It's not words. And then you've got other people that are followers. And sometimes you're either one or the other. But I think you could be a leader in a number of areas. that, in a sporting perspective, that some leaders may be completely non-verbal. They have no ability to communicate. I think our leader's the one that's at the front, that's out there with the loudest voice and stuff like that, where in fact, I don't think leadership's actually about the verbal side of things. It's more the action. So, I know players that all they want to do is just turn up and work as hard as they possibly can. I think of somebody like a Rodney Clark, that he's very non-verbal. He doesn't talk much. He just goes about his business. But when I say he's a great leader and a great role model, is that his work ethic is off the charts. His ability to half an hour, 45 minutes, an hour before practice, there by himself, working at 100%. Even people like, the Kevin Lishers, Sean Redditch, these people that we classify as leaders, they're not actually verbal. They're probably more action, and they do everything to the nth degree. So when I'd say to kids, okay, we'll go and have a look at what these guys do. They're the best in their trade because of their actions. So, so leadership, I think, is about actions and doing the right thing. And I think the right thing from the heart.
Yep.
With intent. I think that's a lot of leadership, for me. And, I know I'm waffling on a bit here, but, when I look at what the great leaders do, most great leaders are people. They look after people. Simple as that. So
Genuine.
Everything. Genuine. It's not about me. It's not about I'm the coach, I'm the captain, I'm this. It's I consider myself what we call a servant leader. That my job is to make everybody around me better. And I leave my ego at the door. It's not about me. That's part of the emphasis of the book, is looking at people like Phil Jackson and Greg Popovich and Mike Krzyzewski and those great leaders. They do everything for everybody else, and that's I've tried to model my behaviours on. It's not about me or my ego or get in front of the camera or the papers or shit like that. I actually don't like that. I just want to make other people better, make them feel comfortable. I'm not threatened by people. I would employ people that challenge me. I've had some great assistant coaches, like Sean Dennis, for example, one of the most loyal people you'd ever meet. But behind closed doors, we'd go for it. We'd challenge each other. We don't agree with this. We don't agree with that. But it was all for the right reason.
Yep.
And then, okay, we'll agree to disagree. Rather than I don't like what you're saying, so I get rid of you. So leadership is also not being a yes person. Not being a yes man. It's going, what is the right thing to do? I always try and do the right thing to do, but I might make mistakes. Because I think I'm doing the right thing, but I might make a mistake. But there's no intent to screw anybody over. I think it's the other way around. I want to do what I can do to help people.
Awesome. What are your thoughts, Azza?
Yeah, I think, Bevo, the way you speak about leadership there is a complete level of unselfishness. And no doubt you've probably been a part of teams, you've been a part of winning teams and teams that have probably had their ups and downs along the way. Have you found probably where things aren't going great, that there's the particular type of leader within the group that tends to be the one that bands it together in those times? Yeah,
absolutely. And even going to a different degree, or a different tangent, is that I want to recruit good people that and a lot of it to do with their personality. I like to understand who am I actually dealing with. What are they? I even do personality tests. To be able to find out who they are. For example, there's the DISC test, there's the Myers-Briggs. I use what we call Bird personality test. That I know what I'm working with. So what the Bird personality test is, you do it. Some people may have heard it before.
That's fascinating, Birdie. Bevo, I want you to talk through that with us, because I found that one really fascinating when I listened to your podcast.
Yeah, so the reason I really get into this, because as a leader, you've got to understand who you're actually dealing with. And depending on what personality you are, determines how you actually relate and talk to that person. So, for example, we call it the DOPE test. So it's done, lots of different places. So what the DOPE stands for, D is for a dove. So it's all to do with birds. O is for an owl, P is for a peacock, E is for an eagle. So when you visualize those birds, like a dove is a fluffy, peaceful bird. You think of that, where an owl is a wise, you think it's a wise owl, that's just why. A peacock is, look at me, I'm the best, and then you got eagles with the killers. So when you do all these surveys, you come out with different combinations of different personalities. But if I know that as the coach of a team that the majority of the players, so if just say I've got 12 players, what the research shows is that the majority of this generation right now that's coming through are doves. Yeah. So you've probably got 70% of your team are going to be doves. So me as a coach or a leader of the group, if I know that they're a dove, I have to be more thoughtful and mindful on how I treat people.
Yeah.
It's that, because if I yell and scream at a dove, they actually become insular. They go into a shell and they can't do their job to the best ability. Yep. So I, as a coach or a leader, I've had to change my coaching style. Then when I look at an owl, I've had players that question you. So what happens sometimes is when you're in a training session in front of people, a player will question you. Some coaches go, "Don't you question me, I'm the boss, I'm the coach, I'm the leader." And that just creates conflict.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's one of those things, well, I know that the owl personality, he's actually not challenging me as the coach. He really wants to know, hey, why do we have to get out to the wing? Why do we have to do this? Why do we have to do that? So again, as the coach or the leader, he's not having a go or undermining me. So I got to leave my ego out the door so you can develop that. As a peacock, there's some people that give me the ball, I'm the man, everybody get out of the way. They're the ones who look at the stats at the end of the game. I did this, I did that. That's fine. Some people think, oh, what an arrogant, egotistical person that is. Like we don't want him, blah, blah, blah. No. That's just him. And then you've got, the eagle personality that they're hotheads. So you as a coach, a player might get the ball, throw the water bottle, kick the ball, yell at his teammates and stuff like that, which is inappropriate behaviour. But if I say, that is just crap, you can't do that, you're creating conflict. And so you have conflict within the thing. So sometimes you let it go. And some people go, oh, geez, I can't believe you let that person do that. It's not that I'm letting them to do it. It's time and place.
Correct.
So why would I know that person can't handle the situation of conflict? Well, don't put yourself in that position. So really it's helped me as a coach to understand who you are. And that happens, again, in business. So, if you're out there and, you've got 10 staff, everybody does things differently. Some are flamboyant, some are peacocks, some, you'll find the majority are peaceful people and don't want conflict and don't want the water cooler chat and stuff like that. So really, that's helped me as a coach actually understanding their personalities, but also I go another layer to find out how people learn. Some people go, oh, he's a head case, oh, he doesn't listen to a word. He said, no, it's not that. They could be visual, they could be audio, they could be actually doing it. They might have to read, So again, as the leader of the pack, I got to get to know who these people are, and I can then make the appropriate judgment, with those people. I mean, you've got your standards and your levels, and everybody knows that. But sometimes you got to, everybody's equal, but some are more equal than others. So sometimes you got to bend the rules to be able to do that. And I look at the Last Dance, where Phil Jackson they sent Rodman to Vegas, like during that series there. They sent him to Vegas for a couple of days because he was going to explode. But it was easy from a conflict to say, hey, Robert, just go to Vegas, go and have your women, go and have your parties and stuff like that. Make sure you report back, get all that crap out of your system. So they allowed him to do that. So again, Phil Jackson had that ability to be able to understand who his players were, and that's why he can get the best out of his players.
Yeah, and it's amazing how all these leaders have got these qualities, and you identify the people you're working around to create the great collaborative group you're trying to create. What about the leaders though that don't want to be leaders? So what I get looked at is the high profile people that we all say are a leader, when in fact I don't know the person. Yeah, they're a high profile. Yeah, they've signed a multi-million-dollar contract, but doesn't mean that they're doing the right things as a leader. Yeah, they're high profile. They've strived and achieved the goals they've achieved, but doesn't mean they're a leader. But a lot of people look up to them as leaders. Chris Judd, best thing he ever said was a few years back, I don't want to be a leader or a role model. I just want to be a footballer. But the public is making him become a role model that he doesn't want to be. He wants to be the normal guy that lives every day of his life as normal as he can, but just play football.
Yeah, I think though. Yeah, I think Daz, but there's got to be a bit of a distinguish between an idol and someone who's great at what they do, and someone who can lead a group of people or a group of athletes. I think that's something that gets a little bit lost now. We tend to just hero and idolize and just assume that they're a leader along the way. I don't know what your thoughts are on this, Bevo.
Yeah, I 100% agree that people look at some of the players and go, oh, he's your best player in the team, let's make him your leader. But they don't have the personality, because they could be a dove. They don't have the actual skills. And we want to develop skills for these people. But, I see at times that you put people in a position that they can't cope with. So for example, he might be your best player. He's your best player by action. He's out there, he's flamboyant, he does all that. But you can't put him in front of a crowd, or you can't put that he doesn't want to be that. And I think that happens a lot of the time is, again, it comes back to the social media and the pressure of the fans and the sponsors and the owners going, I want that. He's the best player. He's the highest paid player. He's going to be the captain of the team. But being a captain of the team or a leader, for those people, it becomes a distraction.
Correct.
Yeah. Yeah.
So by them actually, I'm now the captain, because part of the role of a captain is, I'll go on a tangent here. They've got to look after, other people. So they might get too consumed with, rather than me getting up an extra 100, 200 reps or whatever it might be, or do my recovery, or do all those 1%ers that they do to make them great. Oh, I'm not going to do that today because I've got to go and deal with this player because they've got an issue. And that's one of the roles of the captain or leadership group, is that they do have responsibility. So example that, so I'll go on a tangent here is, PADS, little small groups, leadership groups, where in my situation, I'm the head coach. I might allocate, say, 4 leaders in the group. So the captain, vice captain, and 2 senior players. Yeah. My responsibility is to meet with those 4 players every week. So we might go and grab a coffee, so after practice, before practice, doesn't matter. Let's go and meet and let's discuss, how are you? Are you okay? How's your wife? How's your kids? How's your things like that? So you get to understand those people. So we talk about general, and it comes back to the mental health side of things that I'm very, very massive on, is that the pressures that occur in life is tough. And just by talking to those people helps. So that's one part of being a leader, is that. And we don't want them to solve the problems of the world. No. I'm not a clinical psychologist, but I can then find out, hey, I'm really, really struggling here, blah, blah, blah. We might say, oh, geez, this person needs some help from this person. Then the next thing, I do with the group is let's look at the scout. So just say you're a guard, who you're going to defend this week. You go through it to make sure that they are aware of what they're doing. So they're focused in the technical side of things. And then the third component is that, okay, you want to get better at A, B, and C. All right, so let's go and get some extra shots up. Right, so I do that with my leadership group, the captain, vice captain, senior players. Then after that, it goes down another level. It goes down another level where they now look after the younger ones. So we'll have, we might do it by age. We might do it by. I normally do it positionally. So Dave Anderson, you're the veteran. You're a leader. So I want you to grab these young pups. Go grab Sam Froling. Go grab these people and do the same. Go and take them for a coffee and talk about your journey overseas and how you got there. You help them with their recovery. So that gives them a responsibility. So that's how I sort of set it up. Okay, I've made a mistake in the past where I've put a player in that leadership role thinking, hey, you're one of the best players in the team. But it became a distraction that he was too concerned about everybody else, that his performance decreased because he was concerned about that. I made a mistake on that, and that happens quite often. And it's going, well, he's not a leader. He's a follower. You just go back and do what you're good at, and I think that's the thing. We need to identify, actually, are leaders born? I think they are. I think leaders are born. It's you've either got it or you don't have it. That's my personal opinion. Just because of your personality, who you are, you can teach people the skills, but I still think it's intrinsic.
Do you find also it comes with a story? Like a lot of leaders have gone through a tough slog or something that they've experienced. So you might have been a 10th player for 4 years and you started getting better. So you saw what it was like to be at the bottom end. Then you've climbed up to the top end, or you've gone through certain journeys in life, in real life experiences. That's what really sometimes creates a true leader, because of the experiences they've experienced. Is that ever come into play?
Oh, absolutely. There's no question. And I think that it's so much easier when you've been through something. When things are really, really tough, like if you've had a really, really bad upbringing, you might have an alcoholic father that's in domestic violence and stuff like that. You might be a single mother. You might not have, you could be involved, in drugs, stuff like that. So when you're young, you've done some stupid things or whatever it might be. But you learn from those experiences. And I think that just comes with age. So I think really the true leaders, I'll probably look at some of the best leaders, are people that have come through adverse backgrounds.
Yeah. And that's where, like, the emotion, to know someone's emotion. So Bevo, you're feeling a certain way today. And I've never felt that experience. I don't know how to help you through the experience. I can help you through it which best way I can, that it's going to be betterment for you, but I don't understand the feeling. As it could be feeling something else. I've never experienced, or I've experienced that, so I know how to help through that because I've been through something similar. So I can use my traits that I've learned to help pass over to him. That's why I think even good coaches tend to, if they're really connecting to their players and emotionally about their team, emotionally about the individual, there's a reason why. It's either in their family background, it's either in their upbringing, or they've seen something that you want them to experience. So you try and put them under your protective arms and say, hey, let's get through this together, have a voice, and work through it together. That's where I think good teams come from. It's normally there's a story behind individuals within the team. Is that fair?
Yeah, probably that storytelling theme, Daz and Bevo, you may delve a bit deeper, is coaches now, in order to relate to probably this younger generation, is just be relatable in sharing those stories and those things you've learned along the way, because it's probably something that's more important now than ever before with the different types of learners we've got coming through the system. Does that sound right?
Yeah, look, I think that Daz was hit on the head. It's to do with the experiences you've gone through. It gives you probably credibility as well. Like my journey was, I was a very good player. I was an okay player, but I was a bench player. I was a role player. I hardly ever hit the court, but I sat back there. So now when I'm dealing with role players or bench, hey, mate, I know exactly what it's like. But these I understand it. I've seen some really bad things. I've been with great management, bad management. I've lost jobs through clubs folding. You don't get paid. You get all these things. I've been through that, so I can relate to it. And then it's like, okay, because I've been through it, how do you cope with it? And that's the whole thing. Like, I did 39 days of isolation, earlier in the year. Yeah. So, Daz and I had a conversation just a couple of days ago about, okay, well, these are some of the strategies that maybe that you do to keep you busy. So, because the more time you have on your hands, you think too much.
Yes.
And that's where you get yourself in a rut. So I've been through some stuff, and made some suggestions to those just about the family stuff. We spoke about the cooking, like.
By the way, they all asked me, said you do it. I said no. It's just Bevo said it's a family thing, not an individual thing. So they want me to do it every week, but we are going to try and do it as a family thing. But go, Bevo, explain what that concept is.
Yeah, well, as I said, just because I've been through it, somebody suggested it to me, I just suggested it to somebody else. But that comes from experience.
Yeah. Yeah, sharing that story.
Sharing, it's about sharing stories and having credibility. So it's very, very difficult for an upcoming superstar at 21 years of age to be able to, you're the best player in the team, we're going to make you the future captain. Wrong decision.
Correct.
You got to look at your veterans. You got to look at the guy that's come through a knee reconstruction. You got to look at the guy, like Greg Hire. He's one of the. I consider him a great leader. From when I first met him all those years ago, he was a fat, pudgy kid. He's not good enough to play in the NBL. And but he worked so hard. He took it on board, and he turned his body around, his mindset, his work ethic, all those things. He's had a really bad upbringing. Understands about drugs, understands about depression, understands about lots of things. So fast forward over his journey, he's finished his career. He's an incredible leader with a stitch in time that looks after people with mental health issues. And, he's built that company up into something great. And that's what Daz is doing, because the experiences that you've had gives you credibility. You know what? This has happened to me. And they go, shit. People don't know your story. And I think that's what leadership's a lot about, is that, we can give more advice because we've been through that stuff.
That's why when you tell someone, you try and get their, confidence, get away the self-doubt and get them believing themselves. And they look at you and think you're confident, you're out there, and you say, but hang on, I've suffered the same things you're suffering. I just don't show it because I've dealt with it. I'm just controlling it better. And when they hear that you're actually going through it and you're still struggling with it, even though we show it differently, it inspires them to think, you know what, we're not alone. We can do this. And it shows that we're working together. And I'm not judging you for how you feel and what you say. Every emotion that comes is a reason why the emotion comes. We've just got to work out where it came from. In sports programs, and I'm not going to say basketball specific, and maybe I'm missing something here, but you get hired as a coach in the VJBL, say, okay, you're going to coach this team. Let's go through the X and O's, and let's just get the team up through grading phase. Then let's get through the season. But I don't ever hear about this. I don't hear about get to know your players. Before you teach an X and O, before you teach a skill development, before we step on the court together as a team, let's get to know each other off the court. And then we walk together on the court, and then we establish a philosophy or a gameplay that will suit all needs. Like you said, Bebo, the way you learn, visual, verbal. So I'm going to run an offensive set. Well, I'm going to make sure this person doesn't sit for too long. I'm going to make sure this person is a both visual and a verbal learner. So I need to incorporate both styles of teachings and ensure that some people need to ask the question more than once. So let them ask more than once. Why don't we do that? Why don't we just get our team, NBL, because it's professional level, but at the VJBL level, you get your team, you do your X and O's, you put your teams, plans in place, and that's it. I don't hear much of this stuff, which totally blows me away.
Yeah, and that's probably a lack of coach education. That hence why I'm trying to write this book, to say, you know what, I look at it. You got skill development. So you've got the skill development that everybody does. It doesn't matter what sport it is. So we have coaches. We teach you how to pass, catch, run, jump, whatever it might be. Then you got the next component, which is the physical side. The gym, strength conditioning. Doesn't matter what sport it is. Everybody does it. You get bigger, stronger, faster. The third component that is just not done well enough is the mental preparation side of things, the emotional side of things. So every coach that you do, when you get a team, all you think about is X's and O's, offenses, defenses, what we need to do. Let's try and outsmart these people and stuff like that. Let's get, every single strength conditioning coach I've ever worked with believe they're the best in the world. So every program has the best coach. So what separates good from great is this. It's the mindset. And you as a coach, how do you get the most out of your player or out of your employer? You invest in them.
Invest in relationships, isn't it, Bevo?
Relationship. Who are they? What makes them tick? Understand. Always think that if I show that I care for a player, it's a good old cliche. They in return will do more for you. If you yell and scream and jump up and down and carry on and treat them like shit, why would I want to work for you?
Yeah.
Like I've been in jobs where I don't know if I'm getting paid Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday.
Yeah.
I get letters from I think, your bill's bounced. Your credit card's bounced because the money's not in there, right?
Yeah.
Why would I give 100% for my employer if you put me under that financial strain, emotional strain? You got wife, kids, mortgages, all of those things. So you got to understand it's about being a human, treating people the right way. And I see in elite sport, you're a number, and they're the teams that are unsuccessful.
Correct.
Chop and change and threaten and jump up and down is just not good enough. I don't know the full story with what's going on up with the Brisbane Broncos, but it's been pretty verbal about the majority owner of the thing comes out and says the coach is a cancer publicly. Well, wow.
Yeah.
In the club, basically the fish rots from the head.
Correct.
Absolutely, always.
Always. And that's the whole thing. Again, you as a leader, you've got to be a leader by a positive example and create a great culture for your employees to feel good. So Brisbane Broncos, they have been a superpower team, but they've lost 13 of their last 14 games and just fired their coach. I think that probably from a leadership perspective, and as I'm probably talking out of line here because I don't know all the information, but from an outsider looking in, is it the coach's fault?
Well, sometimes perception could be reality, Bevo. That's the thing too.
Yeah. It's like all these clubs and organisations, you're either a club via numbers or a club via members. If you via the numbers, you just want the members and turn over and look good. And if you're about the members, it's not hard or rocket science at the start of every season to pull them all together and say, hey, guys, it's just about genuinely caring. If you're going to coach for this program or you want to play this program, it's a genuine care for the person in front of you, to the person left you, and the person who's supporting you from behind. Yeah. I don't see that at all. All I see is this is what we expect. This is our thing. This is what we need to do. This is how we need to get there for the club to grow. I don't hear the genuine feel of what we all discussed. And we can talk about this is not a well-being course. It's not a thing we got to learn. And we're just talking about it. And it's so easy to discuss and send the message across that people will feel it. Why are people scared to talk about this in a normal open environment before the start of each season as an overall club?
Well, I think it's a fear of being judged for starters. And look, I've been a part of different environments and organisations before, and sometimes people forget that, like you said, people are people, but they're not stupid either. They can sense if something's not right from the top down, like Bevo was sort of saying before. Fishes tend to rot from the head, and you can definitely see different people who may have leadership sort of roles, but all they do is sort of pander to the people above them and forget about the people they're meant to be leading and their own peers. And it's very quick, and we touched on it before, was around losing that credibility. People aren't stupid in that regard now, but it's a fear of judgment and probably a little bit of repercussion with those sorts of bad cultures.
Yeah, it comes down to always talk about right from wrong. Talk about the choices in life. And sometimes what happens, a lot of the time, it's self-preservation.
Yeah.
So, particularly in a sporting organisation, it's so sexy. I've been in the NBA a very, very long time, and I love it. It was great and stuff like that. But I see a lot of people are there for the wrong reason.
Yeah, correct.
It's about self-preservation. It's about their ego, and they don't treat people the right way. And those people get found out. It's simple as that. And I always talk about you've got to be authentic. If you go and bullshit, you're going to get found out real quick.
Yeah.
And you lose your credibility.
Yeah.
I think that's really big, is being authentic and doing what you believe is the right thing. As I said, you make mistakes, but I think you admit to the mistakes where self-preservation is, it's not my fault, it's his fault. It's the coach's fault, it's the player's fault. And that's what happens, particularly in social media, is that people sit back on their fat asses on the lounge and believe that they have a right to abuse the players, the coaches, whoever. Because they're protected. There's no ramification for what they may do. And it comes down to, egos of people. And a lot of the time, the most successful are the people who do the right thing for the organisation. Numbers versus members. I like what you said.
Yeah.
And that's where I'd love to run a club one day. I won't do it, but I'd love to, because I reckon I'd be able to just push this emotion. And if you don't want to be part of it, well, you shouldn't be part of it. Go somewhere else. It's got to be that family. That's why the TS family is the TS family. It's a family feel. You're all there for each other. And high or low, we're going to bounce off each other and work together. Hence why Joey Wright, what he stands for is what he's doing in Adelaide. It's a family thing that we're creating, and a network that we're creating for the right reasons. We could go forever. I want to continue, but I want from leadership into choice, because this is what comes into life itself, is making choices. We've all seen it in life, and we've experienced it. Some things we may know about each other, and some things we don't, but we've gone through a choice that we've had to make. It's been a consequence of that choice, which we sometimes cannot control. But there's also been judgment from that choice, which you got to learn to, well, how do you deal with that? Because there will be always an opinion on what the choice you make, whether you think it's right or wrong, or what they think. It doesn't matter. You're still stuck to your choice. Yep. How do we help people go through this now with the indecision, the self-doubt? They're worried about what someone else thinks, which means it's going to definitely impact the consequence. Or I'm confident with my decision, but then the consequence doesn't fall in the favor you thought. So I thought it was going to work, but didn't. How do we navigate people through the words choice and the impacts of those choices, and sometimes things we can control and things we can't control? Does that make sense, guys, or am I just talking gibberish?
That's a great question, Daz. I think sometimes it's important to distinguish between choice and the circumstance. Sometimes you can be a bit of a victim of circumstance and things that have played into what's impacting you that are completely outside of your control, I think. Maybe that's something that can be discussed right now. Bevo, you may have a perspective on it as well.
Yeah, I've left some good jobs. I've left some bad jobs, and ultimately it was my choice to do it. I look back. When I was with the Perth Wildcats, it was the best job in Australia. It's simple as that. And when my contract was up, sort of negotiations broke down, ego took over. I knew I had other offers, and so I chose to leave the club and go and chase money. Right. So I left and went to China. So I left. I go and earn the big dollars in China. So that was my choice. But pretty much when I got there, when I saw of how everything was, with the players with game fixing, betting, whatever it might be. Now, I couldn't get the players to play hard and play my way. I regretted my decision. So I made a mistake. It was my choice to leave the best club. And it's probably one of my regrets in life was leaving that. So that was the consequence that now I teach people and mentor people, hey, the grass isn't greener on the other side.
No.
But I learned that through an experience, and that's something I do regret, that I built up an incredibly great club with, it was a great organisation. We did have some, conflict in negotiating. That's probably well known. Yep. But from an ego perspective, when you've got other people chasing you and throwing money at you, you think that you're doing the right thing. Not always. So that's what I advise players is, you could go to the super rich club, or where's the opportunity? Where's this? So sometimes, you're going to make the choice. And, in my situation, the consequences was, I did chase the money, and, it didn't work out because my values didn't meet their values.
Yep.
And that comes down to, when it comes to the choices, that I can choose to stay with a club not knowing that when I'm getting paid. Or I can choose to leave and put myself into a better environment.
That's probably something I think we use the word values. I think it's really important to actually probably test out when you come down to that decision-making process is how aligned are your values at the end of the day. I think that's probably the real key thing when making big decisions. Is that probably something that makes sense to you, Bevo?
Yeah, it's how you sleep at night. I think integrity. What you stand for. It's what you're going to accept. Some people are happy to accept. They drop their standards. So they do become mercenaries. Like no, I don't care about the player. I don't care about this. They fire players and stuff like that. And to me, I can't sleep at night knowing that I'm just going to flick somebody because I know I can get a better player, whatever else. Because again, that's a choice to make. Like I could have had a choice of getting rid of Kevin Lish in his first year as a professional player, and my choice was no way in the world that's going to happen because I made a promise to that kid and to his parents that I was going to look after him. And over my dead body was anybody going to get rid of Kevin Lish? Fast forward 12 years down the track, he's one of the best imports that we've had in our league. But there was judgment, there was pressures. My choice was I'm going to fight against people that are saying, "I'll get rid of him. He's not good enough," because I have my values, I have my standards. I'm not going to abandon a sinking ship. It's simple as that. I'm not going to just jump the ship because of something bad's going. So I'll stand up for it. And that's the thing. So, I've had pressures in my job over the many years is because I stick up, for my players and my staff and doing the right thing.
Yeah.
That's my choice. The consequence is that, you could be perceived as a troublemaker. You could be perceived hard to deal with because I'm not a yes man. I just want to do the right thing. And if the consequence is oh no, we don't want you with our organisation anymore. Well, you know what? I don't want to be with your organisation anymore because our values don't align.
That's right.
That's just life.
If it's not right for me, if the environment's not right, I just walk. It doesn't worry me. If it's not a good fit for me and it's not the values I stand for, I'm out. And that's where the choice, we can go back to teams or groups or work settings or family settings or team. It doesn't really matter. Do we ever talk about it's okay to make a choice, but just know it's going to come with consequence. The consequence may be positive or negative. It doesn't matter. But as a team and collective group, how do we deal with the consequence? We'll get judged for this. We'll go through the journey together. But I don't hear any of this stuff. Again, it's all about we're panicking. We're scared to make a mistake. We worry about making those decisions. We don't know how we feel or how we shouldn't feel. We know what people are thinking of us, and I'm scared to make a choice. And why don't we just get together at the start and help each other to make a choice? And we'll deal with the consequences. We'll deal with the judgment together. We just feel so isolated and alone when it comes to this. Does this make sense what I'm trying to get across?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, the way I've seen a psychologist. I'm proud to say that we all need help. A lot of people think that if you see a psychologist, I'll lie down on my couch and blah blah blah. No. We got to change the mindset these days. And people think that you're strong, you're the leader, you're all of that. No, we all need help. Simple as that. Yep. My psychologist told me, he worked me out, my personality. Yep, you're a leader, you're strong, you're this, you're that. The way I like to make choices and decisions is by gathering information.
Mm-hmm. So make an informed choice, Bevo, or decision, sorry.
Okay, so rather than being emotional, deep breath, like even, for example, after a game, it's very rare that I will ever speak to the team.
Makes sense.
No, because there's too many emotions. If you're winning, you're up here. If you're losing, you're down there. So depending on how you react as the coach. So a lot of times, we're going to evaluate the game a day later when all the emotions have gone down and you can sit down, you can watch the tape, you can go through stuff, and it can be take the emotion out of everything. So that there is let's get the information rather than what the hell were you doing? This was blah blah blah. That there you're going to get your back up because we lost. Your emotions are high. You get F. Throw your shoes at me, and that happens. So my choice is, great job, boys. Win, lose. let's go through our recovery. Let's do this. Keep everything the same and level. But, the way I try to make the decisions is through information. And talking to people, my inner circle is very small.
Yeah.
I won't be listening to somebody on social media telling me who should be playing and not playing and stuff like that. Daz, what did you see, mate? What do you think about that? You got to talk to people that trust, and you can say, you know what, Bevo, maybe you should have done this. I respect that. I listen to it. I take it on board. So I think that gain information, meet with your players, you sit down, you go through the tape, you go through your job description. You're in the office with the thing like, hey, what do you think about this? Talk to people, get information from other people that have got the experience, and then make a decision.
Yeah.
So when you get that, you get the crazy parent after a game, 30 seconds in. Hey, you've had 2 hours to build up all this emotion, information, and you're giving me 30 seconds to respond. I don't think so. I'll talk to you tomorrow.
That's right.
The parent.
Hey, Bevo, probably a bit of a question for you, and Daz, feel free to jump in. I think we've all spoken about it various times on podcasts and whatnot around, having a small circle. What's important when you sort of form that sort of small circle? Your group that you can lean on for that honest feedback and advice. What's the way you sort of evaluate or sort of align with those people that you can trust them? Because the way I probably see it a little bit right now is with this generation coming through, because social media is so influential that the circle of trust can probably be a little bit too big and too many voices coming from different angles and whatnot these days. So would you be able to just talk through perhaps how you go about forming that circle for you? Yeah,
people that don't judge me. People that are there for me, that want the best for me. So you got various things like, when I talk about my inner circle, it's quite small. One of my mentors has nothing to do with basketball at all. He's a lawyer, in a big firm. So he can he doesn't know about the sport. He's not there, but he can look at things from a different perspective. And as I said, to me, it's all about, it comes down to the trust and the relationships that you have. So when I change jobs, like if I go into a big job or head coach of a program, everybody's your mate. They all want to have a beer with you after the game. They all want to come to a sponsors function, whatever else. But then when you leave, they're gone.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, it's about continuity. It's about having the same group of people around you for a very long period of time. The highs, the lows, and therefore you're probably more so during the lows than the highs.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But they're the ones who'll pick up on small things. You'll get that little message you didn't think was going to come, and they picked up on it. They're the people are generally, or you might do a generic text to a group, to a close-knit group. But some of the ones that respond, you can just tell the way they respond is different from the way someone else responds. They respond generically, other ones respond personally. It's amazing how you can actually just tell by a couple of words or the first couple of words of a sentence in a text or an email. How is it genuine, or is it just associate? You're connected by just by association. Does that make sense?
Yeah, there's no doubt, and particularly under real adversity. I think when things have really gone to the shit. Like 2020 for all of us has been bad. It has. That's the reality. It hasn't been a good year with COVID, losing jobs, unemployed, financial constraints, lockdowns. Like we all go through our mental health issues and stuff. Who's there? Who's there for when it really, really counts? And something I found about elite athletes as well is, I've worked in the industry for 28 years, high performance. And, like this is just a general statement. It's not meant to be a go or an insult, but I find most elite athletes are very self-centered and just about themselves. And they need to have that trait to be there. But what I like to say to them is, you've only got a 5 to 10 year career. So you've got to remember where you came from, because in my situation as a career coach, I'm going to see you here, I'm going to see you here, I'm going to see you on the way back down. Now, that's the reality. And I always find that, I develop players from a holistic perspective that, you know what, you will transition out of your sport. And I want to try and educate them into get a degree, get some experience, work with sponsors, transition out of sport into real life situation. And some do, some don't. That's the choice.
Yes.
Those that don't, all of a sudden their career is over like that. They're a nobody. They've gone from a somebody to a nobody overnight. So it's so important that you've got to be a good person, because a lot of the people that get jobs after their career are because they're good people, great work ethic. They can transition their sporting skills into the real world. But if they're a dick, guess what? You ain't getting a job.
That's it.
And stuff like that. And what I find is you try and advise people, then all of a sudden I get a phone call out of nowhere from somebody because they need help. And it's going, well, why would I help you when one, you haven't helped yourself, but two, you've had nothing to do with me in a long time, but all of a sudden you're in deep shit and you need to rely on somebody. So really, I'm talking in a bit of waffle and tangents and stuff like that, but athletes,
it's a transactional relationship. It's just a transactional relationship, isn't it?
Yeah. And I don't know to but when I had the boating accident, people were there for you to comfort you and support you. But when you had the funerals, and I had a whole lot happening in a short period of time, they all start to go through the normal mourning process. We mourn, we start to move on. What people got with me was, but hang on, I'm still stuck in this situation that I'm not going to get out of. I'll probably learn to cope with it in some way, not deal with it, or I know what I'm trying to say, but in 6 months' time or 12 months' time, those same people weren't given the same comfort. They were saying, you should be over this by now. You should be moving on. Not a normal circumstance. We didn't just lose a friend together and we mourn it and we talk. I'm still stuck in the story. I am the story, and I'm the only one in the story because the other two are gone. Without going into too much detail, is for years, even to today, for the ones who don't understand why I still struggle because of that night, and that was a choice. It came with consequence. I didn't drive the boat, so I was just a passenger. I didn't choose for this to happen. There is going to be judgment. Why did I not get in the boat? It was my choice. I get that. But at the end of the day, if you don't understand why I'm still struggling today, I don't want really much to do with you because it means you just don't understand that it's part of what I can't erase my past. It will define who I am in the future. But that support platform people think they give you at the first couple of weeks is great. It's not. It's the support platform I have now are the ones that I needed, not the ones I had early. Is that sort of, I don't know if I went lost there, but does that make sense?
Yeah, full time.
Yeah, I mean, I finished coaching professionally in February last year. So I mean, I do lots of bits and pieces and stuff. I'm still in the sport, but I've lost a lot of the friends, if you want to call it that, because I'm no longer a professional coach and stuff like that, and they're false people.
Yep.
It's people that are there through the highs and the lows. They're your true friends, and it's simple as just a text message. How you going?
Yep. Spot on. And it might be a person, a good friend, like say we've been mates for years and I haven't seen you for 12 months, Bev or Azza, you wouldn't know it's personal because whatever it's going through our lives, but we know that we a message or a phone call, it's if it picked up from yesterday. Sometimes we don't have to always be in each other's face, but we always know that genuine relationship will always be there. And they'll always be there, those type of people as well. You don't have to be in each other's face. Does that make sense?
Right.
Yeah. That simple communication thing, just to let you know, hey, I'm thinking of you. That just changed your psyche. It's when you don't hear a word from anybody for a long time, the mind, it talks bad to you. You become lonely. You become, the anxiety increases. The paranoia, all these little things about, whatever else. You thought they were your friend, and you don't hear from. Oh, what have I done wrong? What have I said? What have I done? And that's where your mind is so powerful that the way you talk to yourself, that's try and do that. And it always helps when you've got a mate, that just says, how you going? It's not difficult, like
and there's nothing behind that message.
Nothing
by the way, now we're talking again, can you please do this for me? There's not like where's this text come from? There's going no one's coming in 30 seconds.
People go through some really, really bad shit, and I didn't want to call you. I didn't know what to say. It's not about trying to solve the problems of the world. I'm not asking you to solve the problems of the world.
It's been here.
You just want to know. It's just our human instinct that, just that appreciation that somebody's reached out to you. I think it's really, really important. It's irrelevant whether you're an elite athlete or whatever else. It's just that's what life's about, is looking after people.
I experienced this in a massive way this year because of COVID was starting to kick in. Transition sports was, it's hard to have a facility and build a business. This is not an easy industry to be in. And everything's was just starting to go well. And then COVID-19 comes in. So Easter weekend for me is the accident. I can't deal with it. Friday was the accident. Saturday, Sunday with the body fan. So it's over the weekend of the Friday to Sunday. So I don't really do Easter too well. And not that I think my family one forgets. I just think that they either let me just go. But for some reason, this Easter, I had people reaching out to me. I had these genuine reach outs, and some people always reach out in a certain way, but it was probably just the best Easter I've ever had, and it was now 17 years ago. I don't know what happened to all the other 16 years, but it was just something about the messages this year with COVID, what we've done, how we've got through it, how we've coped, and I think it hit everyone that, hang on, it's been a tough journey. So it was a really, really great Easter, and I freaking hate Easter. I had the best Easter of my life in the last 17 years. So it's amazing how, like you said, Bevo, and that the messages at the right time for the right reason is what gives us an extra spring in our step to keep moving forward. Even though we're going to fall down at times, but we're still moving forward with a little bit of energy and inspiration from those messages.
Yeah, exactly right. 100% Dazza.
So, gentlemen, I think we should do this again, which is Bevo might become a regular, mate. This might be a just catch it up boys' day and see what happens.
Absolutely.
we don't have to cut it off. We are at 56 minutes. Is there anything we want to chat about or highlight, or do you think we've done a fair bit of conversation through what we've discussed? Are we happy with what we discussed, or is there anything else we want to discuss before we shut down?
Oh, look, I think we had some great discussion around leadership and the values that are associated with that. And I think one thing that I think we should have Bevo on again, Daz, is around the training of the mind, that mindset. I mean, Bevo, you've been at the top end and with working with some great athletes. And I think there's a lot of probably relatable or transferable skills that our audience can probably take away from that. I think that's something we could probably dive a little bit deeper into down the track.
Yeah, as I said, it's one of the things that's probably not trained enough. We go to clinics all the time to look at, what a great offense, great defense, this is fantastic, all these super new strength conditioning drills and stuff like that. But, again, always go back to what separates, the Michael Jordans, LeBron James, the Kobe Bryants, what separates them from people that are equal to their athleticism, equal to their skill level, and it's the mindset. So maybe that's another thing we could talk about.
Yeah.
Well, on that, and great, well said, and Bevo, do you think sometimes that we try and get too fancy or complicated with an idea? This is new, we should try this, and yet the game has always been simple. You put the ball in the hole in one end, you stop it from going at the other end. What's so complicated? Like you got Y, Z, you got to get in the variation to a variation of another variation, and we're 25 parts in. You can't understand why we can't get a shot.
Yeah, look, I'll talk from my perspective, Daz.
We're too scientific, is what I'm asking.
Yeah. Look, I'll talk from my perspective because I'm still considered a young coach. I think I'm in my 7th or 8th year now. Is when I first came in. I'm a great observer, I feel like, and I see all these great ideas, and I probably did do a little too much and just confuse my group at times with what I was trying to do with different things that I thought were really cool and would benefit the team. But keeping it simple, so much easier. Your team is more together. They know what to expect of each other, and the messages are quite more, I guess, crystal clear. And maybe that's something, Bevo, you may have found along the way as well. I'm sure.
Yeah. I mean, again, it's really important that you got to find out who you are, what your philosophy is, what you believe in, and you stick to it. I'm not saying don't change. You got to make some changes, but be you. And keep coming back, be authentic. I remember many years ago I went and watched, went on some tours overseas, and I went and watched Bobby Knight. So Bobby Knight's ranting and raving and kicking things and swearing and carrying on. Then coming back, I started to rant and rave because I want to be like Bobby Knight. I'm not Bobby Knight.
No. You don't want to be Bobby Knight, Bevo.
Yeah. The thing, like, people do that, and what I got out of it was you got to be authentic. You got to see what other successful coaches do, and then, like, I break it down even more. The best coaches in the world look after their players.
Yeah.
So that's what I want to be, is that type of person that makes a difference on and off the court, rather than being the smartest person out there. I see some coaching. I'm coaching the NBL, and I'm scouting. I'm watching their offenses and defenses going, they're too smart for each other. All I'm going to do is force him left.
Go fix that.
Because they're too smart. I think I do straight out of bounds play and stuff like that. And I go, all right, just go to a zone. Just zone it, one possession. Oh shit, I'm a genius now. No, I don't want to get caught up in that shit. I just want to be good at what I do. Well, no, not good, great at what I do.
Yeah.
The year we won the 14 boys won the VC championship. It was a semi-final before the prelim. I'm the only coach, right? Because I'm not really that professional. I'm my best mate. I said, mate, look like an assistant. Just sit with me. Just look like we've got some sort of coaching team, where the other team had 5 coaches and they had 5 whiteboards. In the warm-up, I got my boys, we're getting switched on, and this team, the coaches pulled their team over 5 times, and they kept changing the whiteboard. They kept changing it. I said, mate, we've won the game. They've just out-psyched themselves. They've complicated the game that we're just going to do what we do. We're just going to play. And we won 3 points. It was a tight game. Ended up winning the championship. But I just watched what they did pre-game, and how much they over, drew, and the kids kept coming back, and they looked like confused. I said, game over. And we got them early, and that's why. So simple, I think. Just be, like you said, genuine, be who you are. Don't try and create something that's not there. Are we happy, boys?
Sounds good to me. But no, I'd love to come back and do some more stuff with you guys.
We got no choice, mate. It's
You've roped him in now.
I just saw the document. Bevo, we wish you nothing but the best. We hope you get a great feedback, which you know you will, for your book.
Yes.
Like I said, I'm going to highlight. I'm generally looking forward to it. This is not me just putting out the new Bevo. I'm generally looking forward to a book, and I just don't buy a book. Even if I love you, I ain't going to buy a book if I ain't interested, mate, because it's just not who I am. I'm genuine. I am.
We enjoyed doing it. It was like long and stuff, but we're really happy with it. We've already got some people look at it, and we've had some great feedback. But now we finally have it, and it's out there now.
Did you have a tear when you sent them off? And did you put them in the mailbag? Did you get a bit of a teary there? Are you a bit of a sook, Bevo? Did you have a bit of a tear up? You're a peacock. What are you?
No tears. No, it was a good sense. It was a sense of fulfillment. Like I said to my family, we're going to go out for dinner tonight, because you got to celebrate the wins.
Spot on.
Yeah.
At times you get so caught up. I mean, as I said, 2020 has been shit for everyone. And that's created a lot of anxiety and depression and issues like that. And Birdie and I have achieved something that it's just been fantastic. I'm a published author. Again, that's an ego thing, but we achieved something that we wanted to do. And you know what? We want to celebrate the little wins that we can have, and I don't think people do enough of that. So tonight I'm taking my family out for a nice dinner and stuff like that. Let's just enjoy life. I think that's really important.
And I'd be proud of that, mate. That's great way to spend it. Awesome job. Asda, how you feeling? You all good with this?
Oh, great. Yeah, I can't wait to have Bevo back in. We've got him. We only have him sign on the dotted line now. So we'll see you in the next couple of weeks again, Bevo, I think.
Mate, anyone jump on the other day. It took me 3 hours to convince him, please just come on our podcast.
No.
He's a man of money, and I'm joking. It was great. It was great to have you on board.
Come on.
We love having you, mate. Thank you, viewers. All we do this for fun. We want you to capture the conversation that we have, because we have these conversations anyway. If we can engage you in some part of it, great. If it helps you in any way, great. But most importantly, we want you to stay safe, stay well, and most importantly, stay strong. And remember, you're not a burden. Reach out to us or anyone else. You are not a burden. Yes, we're in the same storm, but we are not in the same boats. We're here to help each other. Let's get through it together. TS family out. All right, guys. Once again, thank you. Appreciate you guys. Love yous.
Thanks.
See you guys.
See you guys.
Okay.